Welcome back to lesson 6 of this module. In the previous lesson, we linked our database to our chat box, or in other words, we linked our database to our index.php file and also created a database connection in db.php. In this lesson, we will use Ajax function, so we do not need to refresh the page every time we send a message. Because if I send a message right now, for example, John says nothing, I am bored, and if I click send it, you will notice that it is inserted into the database but does not display over here. And if we refresh this page, it is displayed over here, and John says nothing, I am bored. So after we have used Ajax in our code, when we enter a message, it will automatically be displayed over here, and there will be no need of refreshing the page every time when we send a message. So let's begin. We first have to go to our Atom editor, and we need to do some script tags, and the script tags should be in our head tags. After the link, we will put in our script tags, open and close them, give us a little room, and then make or create a function which will be or which is Ajax. And then in this function we will create a var rec which will be equal to new XML all caps and then HTTP request, then our parentheses, and then a semicolon. On the next line, give us a little space here, then rec on ready state change, and it's equal to another function which will be blank. So basically you have a function between or within a function, and within this function, which is rec.onReadyStateChange, we have to pass in an if statement, that if rec.readyState is equals to 4 and rec.status, let's correct the spelling, status is equals to 200. So basically 200 means that it is okay. And on the next line we'll give us a little space and then write document dot get element id by d should be small, or let's say by id, get element by id, and it should be chat. Then we're gonna concatenate on inner HTML, and it should be caps, is equals to rec.response text, and then a semicolon. Now after the second closing curly braces, we need to add rec open and then pass in 3 parameters, and those parameters will be get, the second will be chat.php, and the third will be crew. So here we have our 3 parameters, and we need to create another rec.send statement, and it will be blank. Now let's check our Ajax request. So the function is Ajax, and we're calling var rec new XML HTTP request, and it is a request on ready state change, and we're creating another function, and it has an if statement which says rec. So here is the typo, it says rec ready state, is equals to 4 and rec status is equals to 200. And we have another typo. There should be a curly brace over here and it should end over here. So this curly brace should end over here, this should end over here, and this should end over here. So we're good to go. Let's check this statement as well. So it is document get element by ID, and the ID is chat, and we're concatenating on inner.html, and it is equal to response.text. So we need to put a semicolon here. So once we're done with this, we need to put this, or let's get rid of this and put this over here. Now save this file, and after this curly brace we need to pass a function known as setInterval. And basically what this function does is that it tells when to refresh or when to display the message onto another browser. So it's setInterval function, then braces, or in other words parentheses, and then open up the function and type in Ajax, another parentheses, and after the curly braces we need to pass in the time. So the time will be 1 second, which is 1000 millisecond, and after the set interval we need to type in our semicolon. So if we save this, go to our browser, so it's great. Now we need to go back, and from here, or first we need to make a new file. So we'll name it chat.php, and in this file we need to cut this from here, Ctrl+X, and then paste it in this file. Save this as well, and we need to include db.php here as well. Include db.php. So we're done with this file. We can close this, but I'll keep it open in case we need to use it. And we need to create another div tag over here with an ID of chat. Close this div tag. Now we're good to go. So now if we go to our browser, refresh this once. Oops. Let's refresh, and you notice that everything from this chat box is gone. So let's look into our database. So in our database the messages are there and it is not being displayed on our chat box. So let's try to enter a message. So John says, or Ali says, come over to my house. And if we send it, it is displayed onto our, or in other words it is inserted into our database, but it does not show on chat box. So let's figure out what's the error here. So the error is that we need to delete this parentheses from here and insert it over here. So now it looks great, but there's one more thing we need to do, and that thing is that in our body tag we need to give it an onload function, and it should say, or it should call the Ajax function. Insert a semicolon and save this. Now let's go back to a browser, press enter, and here we have our messages, and here we have our messages. So now if we insert a message, for example John says that I will come in 10 minutes. And if I send it, you will notice that without refreshing the page, it is displayed automatically. So this was the Ajax request, and now we need to get rid of our date from here. So to get rid of our date, we need to go back to our atom editor, and in our db.php we need to pass in a function, and this function will be function and write format date and give it a function as well, which will be date. So the function that we pass in is return date, and it will be in single inverted commas I space A, and then a comma, and then start STRTO time, and then we need to pass in the date variable, and then a semicolon, and here is our function. And now we need to call this function into our index.php, and the place where we need to call this function is the span tags. So we need to go to our span tags, and where it says, so first we need to find our span tags. Our span tags are, I guess, in this chat.php. Yes. So over here we need to call that function format date, and then parentheses, we will open a parentheses here and then close it over here. So let's save this, go to our chat box, and without refreshing, you should have noticed that the date was gone, and this was because of the Ajax. So we now only see the time. Now let's enter a message. For example, Ali says, sure, I will be waiting for you. Send it, and without refreshing it says, sure, I will be waiting for you, and it also tells the time when sent it, and it takes the time from my computer. So in this lesson we used Ajax. So in this lesson we used Ajax function, and now we do not need to refresh every time we send a message. And let's check if this message is inserted into our database. So we'll refresh this, and as you can see, these messages are inserted into our database. John says, I will come in 10 minutes, and Ali says, sure, I will be waiting for you. And as you can see, the date is shown here and the time as well. But over here, as we formatted the date is not anymore shown. So by the end of this lesson, we have created our chat box, and if I open up a new browser, let's open up a new window, minimize this as well. So if I open up my localhost /chats1 on this browser as well, you can see the same messages. So if I type a message with the name John, and he says, I cannot come, and if I send it, you'll notice that the message also is displayed over here, and thanks to Ajax, which lets us display the message without even refreshing the page. So in this course we created a simple chat box and stay focused. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the discussions tab, and I will try my best to answer those questions. If you get any errors, feel free to ask me how to correct them, and I will help you as soon as possible. So keep practicing, stay focused, and let's move to our last module.